Hi, fellow traders. I know I've been out of the loop for uh, probably a couple of weeks. Um, just a classic case of my job getting in the way of my trading. Ever since we had the flood and we were out for 2 weeks, just been playing catch up. Even though I work part time, it's still hard trying to get caught up, and things just got in the way. And it seems like the market timing got messed up as well. A lot of the trades are happening earlier in the trading session, at least the trades that I'd like to take, than they used to. I mean, it used to be where they would start hitting close to 10 or 10 o'clock up until 10:30, and now, I have to be in there a little bit before 9:30 in order to get my head back in the game, to catch some of these moves. So the timing just hasn't worked out. But I'm back in the saddle again, and really expect things to start back picking up. But I haven't seen any, or hadn't really had any good tickers to hit my nightly scan in the last couple of days, so just really haven't been anything that interests me. I've had some hit the scanner, but they didn't meet the criteria, so they never really made a watch list. So what I normally do in the morning, if I don't have a watch list coming into the morning, what I do is I start looking at the gappers first. So I get on about 8 o'clock, and this is the same gapper list that you see in chat. The same setup. The only difference that I have is over here I've got the average true range, because that's where what helps me determine what tickers I'm going to look at. If it doesn't have a over at least $1.50 average true range, I really look for over $2. But if I don't get enough over $2, then I'll go back to over 150 or something like that. So just to give you an idea of what I do, um, I'll look down here, and here's, see, GMRC. This one's 240. So I come over here, I look at the volume. Well, the volume looks good. It's over 50,000 shares traded. So, and you're talking about, between 8 and 8:30. So that's not bad for pre-market. Yeah, you'll see some a lot bigger than that, but 50,000 is the minimum I want to see. Then I'm looking at the gap percentage. That's 19.1%. That's awesome. Then I look for the the float. I really want them to be less than 100 million shares, but this one's 115, so that's fine. That's well within my range. And I look at the price, and normally if it's a higher ATR ticker, the price is going to be well over 20 bucks. So there's really nothing worth I have to worry about that. So I pulled GMCR. See, I put it in my watch, and let's see the next one. Okay, 191. That's pretty close. So I'll look at it. Look at that one, had 424,000 shares already traded. Um, a 27 or 28 million share float, perfect. I just don't like the price. I don't mind trading it. I just don't like tickers under 20 bucks now. I used to look for these all the time, but now I'm looking. But I still put it on my watch because I love the average true range. That means that this ticker is prone to making big moves. All right, let me come on down. C-Trip, 456, already traded 93,000 shares. On the float, 106 million. That's I can handle that. The price is a little high, but when it has swings like this, or average true range, 100 shares will get you, and if it moved 4 points, that's 400 bucks. So, that's a good setup. So that made my watch. And this is a preliminary. When I put them over here, it's a preliminary. So that gives you kind of an idea of what I do and how I go through these. And I'll keep going through, and even the gap downs, I'll look at. I'll put them on my watch, and then once I get them to my watch, what I'll do is I'll go to the daily chart. So since C-Trip, was my pick of the day, I'll just do it for the sake of time. So the first thing I look at is I want to look at, just got to get a mental picture of the 5-minute, how much it gapped and then how it's trading pre-market. Well, this gap at the close of last night, and it held this level here. And then when it opened in pre-market, kind of held the same level. So I put this on because this marked a high of pre-market or post-market. This was a high that it hit the night before. So I put this on and change the color so I'll know, what I'm looking at when I get to the daily chart. So I didn't have this on yet. This is a support I found on the daily. So, once I marked that, I went ahead and looked at the daily chart. Then I start looking at some levels. Now these were probably already marked from me looking at it before. So you had this gap up here. So the only level I looked at was this. This was the 52-week high that we made, several days ago. Or, maybe a week or two ago. And this was the only level of support that really mattered to me right now. None of this really mattered because of where it gapped up, and this was the high of the aftermarket the day before. So I looked to see how big this window was. You're looking at, say, 103.60 up to 111.75. I mean, wow, that's eight bucks, 8 points. Nice window. So that's why this became my sole watch. None of the other tickets really mattered anymore, after I saw this. Because I knew this thing had the potential to give me a big, trade. This had home run potential. So I went back and I populated my chart. And this is the chart I look at when I'm trading. I've got the 5-minute here, got the 2-minute here, and the 60-minute right here. So what I was expecting it to do. Now once I looked at this, I had to come up with my plan. And what I wanted to see this stock do was to keep coming down when it opened, sell off, tap this support here and hold, and then make the run back up. And that's what I was looking for it to do. Well, we got it opened. I got a $5.50 candle. Well, several months ago, I probably would have let this just take my mind off of this ticker and then start looking for something else, which would have been a big mistake. This is why I never trade the first 5 minutes, because you never know what it's going to do. I could have gone short at the open expecting this big wash, but what I would have gotten was a nice butt licking in return, because this thing would have popped up and you see how fast this thing ran. I might have made all kind of mistakes trying to cover, if I had gone short at the open to try to catch the move down. So I waited and I just kept this ticker on watch. I knew the potential it had, and I knew it probably would set up at some point. So I started looking at these, and I saw the 9 coming up. It was squeezing. This was consolidating, continuing the top on the VWAP. The 9 was coming up. It's like it was squeezing these candles. And I know whenever it does that, I usually get a pop to the upside. And sometimes you get a pop to the downside too. But in this case, it was looking bullish. Everything was kind of lining up for this for this trade. So I waited, and I did get to call it out in chat before I lost connection. Right before we had a storm last night, and my internet connection was messing up. It was really messing up my charts, and there was something wrong with the filters, and I could sign into the platform, but I couldn't get any data, or I couldn't get any account information or anything. It was just crazy. But this is when I was looking to get in. So I got an entry at 110.50. I'm sorry, at around 109.50 or 108.50. And I was saying that I wanted to see it push the VWAP, and that's just what it did. So I got the entry here, and you can see this was just a picture perfect push up, a picture perfect push up. Really no stress to this at all if you were able to get in and you held it. And first profit target, I would always look to take profit on this upper deviation band from the VWAP. Obviously, this was what I really would have been looking for. But once it hits this, you can take it off and look to see if it's going to push over, or you can take half off and leave half on to try to go up. It really just depends on the field. Whether I'm going to get all out or leave half on to see if it's going to go. But in this case, this candle here would have washed you out. Once a trade works like this, it doesn't make sense to say my stop's going to be a close below the 9, because it's just so far away. Right here is when you switch to the 2-minute chart, because once it came up and then started to go back down, I'm looking at the 2-minute to see a ticker that's going to make a new low. So the first candle that makes a new low, that's the candle I'm going to look to exit on. It only makes sense because this is just too far to wait for something to come all the way back down to see if it's going to hold or not. So perfect profit target here. This is some chop that it kind of worked through. And then the next, trade, you could have taken it when it held a 9 here and it started, to make this push up, or you could have waited and taken it off of this level here, which was the high of the aftermarket the day before. This would have turned into a level I could base my trade off of, because this was a level that kind of made sense. No, it's not a level of daily resistance or support, but it's pretty significant because this first candle came up and almost tested it, but didn't get through it. So this level, and then it came up and didn't get through it in the post market the day before or after market. So we can see, it came up and tested it twice. It couldn't get through. So right here, you got a pop up, but didn't get through. So yeah, I was looking for it to maybe wash out then, but at that point, when I get a candle like this, I'm gonna sit on my hands till I get a solid setup. I'm not gonna anticipate. So this would have given you another good trade. Over 75 on up to the 114s. Perfect trades. And here again, there's no reason to take this off until you get a sorry. There's no need to take this off until you get a candle to make a new low, which is, come on, man. There we go. Which is right here. That would have been the spot to take it off. Right here on this candle. So that was two awesome trades that this ticker gave us. And then this was the next one. This was a perfect short. You lost both the moving averages. It confirmed right here. When it closed below it, opened below it, it starts to sell off. From here to here was a good target. Then you got a little bounce off the VWAP, which you could have easily taken. And you know, it doesn't look like much, but look, from 110 to 112.9, you're talking about 2 points. 2, 4, 6. 6 points in 2 swings if you were just locked in on this ticker. And these are the tickers I look for. And these are the setups that I look for every day. And it only takes one. I mean, I get caught up like everybody else. You know, when somebody mentions this ticker, somebody mentions that ticker, and you click on it to see what's going, or something hit the reversal. The thing is, if you're patient and you sit there like a sniper, you can find these on Gapper scans every day. And once it sets, everything sets up. As long as you're there to catch the trade, you're going to make money. It's going to be real hard to lose money on, you know, setups like this. So it's just a matter of making sure you can put everything together to build a case for the trade. If everything falls in alignment, take the trade. Now, yes, I base my trades off of support and resistance. You know, I don't anticipate. I always base it off of confirmation. I'm a very conservative trader. You know, people can call me a wimp. I know a lot of professional traders call traders like me a wimp, because I wait for confirmation and I may give up a third of the move, but I'm not going to take a unnecessary loss. You know, and eventually I may grow into being able to take more risk and being able to anticipate more based on what I see. Like in this case, I know this. I pretty much, with the 60 to 70% certainty, know which way this ticker is going to break based on the pattern I see. I can click on it and quickly see, you know, the pattern I'm looking for and what it can do. So, you know, once I get to a level where I'm more comfortable, then I'll probably start doing that. But until then, everything's going to be based off of support, resistance, and that can come from VWAP, moving averages, deviation bands, areas off the daily chart, or intraday areas. If something proves to be, you know, a key intraday level, you know, then I can base a trade off of it. You know, I'm just not going to pull a rabbit out of the hat and expect it to, you know, to work for me. But that's enough babbling about, you know, how I trade. I hope me going over this ticker helps you kind of see what I see and maybe start looking at other tickers as well. It's just a matter of narrowing down the search. I mean, this is amazing. You're talking about 8 o'clock and you've got all of these tickers hitting the gap scan. Okay, this is a snapshot from 8 o'clock. One thing about Trade Ideas, you can go back and make it tell you what was on the list at what time and on a particular day. So I just went back and asked it to tell me what was on the gap scan. This was at 8:30, I'm sorry. What was on the gap scan at 835? And this is a lot of tickers. This is more than average. So how do you narrow this list down? You have to develop that. What makes sense for you? And this makes me doing it this way makes sense. And if you look at my watch list of the tickers I watched, I think GMCR Mike had on his watch. It made some good moves today. AVXL was on my watch. It made some solid moves today. CTRP, you saw that. Awesome move today. EROS, awesome moves. It didn't make my watch, but because I'd already found, 4 solid ones that I wanted to watch, and then, after CTRP, I really didn't care to watch anymore. But all of these, you just use your filtering. You use the things that you feel comfortable with, and vet the tickers that way. You have to break your list down to a couple of tickers. You can't watch all of these, and you can't sit in chat and try to chase every ticker that somebody puts up. That'll get you in trouble. It's like watching Twitter all day and trying to follow what all these other guys are. You pick your own stocks in the morning, come up with your own plan, and stick to it. If it doesn't work, oh well, try again tomorrow. The market's going to be here. The tickers are going to be here. Now, if you go 2 weeks without getting a trade, then maybe you need to change your setup. And I'll do the same thing. If I go, 4 or 5 days without a nice hit, then I'm going to go back and look to see what's going on with the market. And that's how I determine that the timing in the market has changed, because it's just not working with me. Again, if anybody has any questions, comments, this is all my contact information. My blog, I need to do a blog now. I'm kind of behind on it. Skype, Twitter. You can email me, ed@warriortrading.com. Or if you're interested in learning more about it and want to do one-on-one sessions, we can do that. That's the link to sign up for that. So I'm glad to be back in chat. Hope to be spending a lot more time in it. I made it through the rough 2 weeks, and I'm ready to get back on this bicycle and keep riding. So hope everybody has a great evening, and I'll see everybody tomorrow in chat.